Hello, and I'm back again. Didn't quite get to all of my bullet points or what have you that I wanted to make in that last video. So I did explain the Q phenomenon, okay? And so to pick up from where I left off, these Q posts are continuing, and it seems that the style of the posts from this Q entity have changed from the way it was October, November through December, and then, or maybe about the middle of December, or around December or so, sometime within December, then into January and now into February. The style of the questions, you know, the way they were written, and the questions that were being asked, because more and more information is coming to light. People are doing more research, and so more information, you know, is coming out, and you know, it's a little bit different. And like I said, the people. It seems like whenever you have more, and even one person, this can happen with one person, but when you get more than one person together, you know, nobody is, I don't think there are, well, I know that there are no two people exactly alike. Now you have twins, identical twins or whatever, and yeah, they have similarities, but no one is exactly, you know, an exact copy of another person. And so they're going to have different thoughts, different experiences, you know, and what have you. So some of there are people out there that are kind of losing their enthusiasm, their faith, or whatever in this Q stuff that's supposed to be bringing about big changes, you know, and you know, all these criminals and this people responsible for the corruption and everything within our systems, socially, governmentally, you know, just, and this is worldwide. This is just not, you know, in America. And so they hadn't seen any arrests. They hadn't really seen any mass arrests or anything being done of any significance. And then you just had the other day, Valentine's Day, this shooting down at the Florida high school, and that's being considered now. Just like all of these big events that have happened that have been tragic, you know, from the Moriah building, Oklahoma, Waco, Sandy Hook shooting, Boston Marathon, 9/11, now this Florida shooting, and all of these things. Did I mention the Las Vegas shooting thing? A tragedy. All of these are tragedies. And people call them false flags or whatever you want. Now, false flag doesn't necessarily mean that the event didn't happen, or that people didn't get injured or killed or whatever. What the false flag means is that the event happened, it was a coaxed event, and it may have been these events may happen, I can't think of the word that I'm wanted to use, but these events happen, and it's almost like they're either allowed to happen for whatever and however, you know, the reasoning or reason, or they're kind of planned to a certain degree to coax, the event in a certain direction, okay? And it's being widely speculated, and rightly so, I feel, my opinion, that, these things, there are a lot of questions and answers, or there are a lot of questions that hadn't been answered. And there are a lot of people that, the news didn't say that. The main, whoever they might be watching, mainstream or whatever, there's a lot of stuff online because you have the narrative and then you have people countering that narrative and then you have people countering the people that are countering the narrative, so it just gets really convoluted, confusing, complicated, and that's the idea. That's the result that these people that say these are false flags or planned events or these events that are allowed to happen in order to guide the future events in a certain direction or future or the agenda, whatever it is that they're trying to pursue, or what they want people to think generally, the public at large. And so, I honestly feel that there are a lot of things that go on and have gone on that aren't to the benefit of the general public, and that's not what our country was. That's how I was raised, and when I went to school, it was going through school. This is almost backwards from what I was taught that how society and culture and stuff was supposed to be. These days, it seems that there's more division, derision, and not to get all involved in this, in that, because I don't want this to be a long video. I said that the last video, and my other videos, they tend to drag on, but I'm trying not to do that. I'm going to try to get to the point, get my thoughts out there, and that'll be that. So anyway, with this Q stuff, there's starting to be a divide happening, and it has been happening actually. But there are people that, this is a hoax, I don't believe it, we're being played. And then on the other side, there's, just hold on. You have to be patient. It takes time to get done what they're doing. And I can see from either or and other perspectives, how people might come to the, those feelings or opinions about it. And it seems to me, it all boils down to, and I've mentioned this in some other videos, it's the spirituality, okay? Now, you have the religious views and perspectives, and then you have the non-religious perspectives and views. And generally say, and I mean generally as in the population of the country or just maybe the globe, the world actually, we're losing or have lost. There's no priority or importance being placed on the spirit of humanity. And not to get too deep into this, but I don't think organized religions, they don't necessarily instruct you in your individual spirituality, what your spirit is or whatever. They'll dictate to you, well, this says this says this says that, and that's what that means. But you have to consider that is coming from a person, that's their opinion, okay? That's the opinion they have of what they have learned, the knowledge they have gained. And their opinion may not necessarily be all that beneficial to all the other people, if they're in a position of, a leader of the head of a congregation or whatever. That might not necessarily be to the benefit of all that are in the congregation. That just may be to the benefit of the entity or group or what have you of the group of people that are supporting him or want him in that position, okay? But individually, it may not be beneficial at all to him. And for example, and this gets in it's sincerity, integrity, and for an example, you have doctors, okay, and they take the hypocritical oath, okay? You're not supposed to harm and all that kind of stuff. But yet, the doctors are prescribing all these medications that the pharmaceutical companies have developed and, come up with and all that have, a 2-page list of side effects. And like I heard someone mention the other day in a video, they're not side effects, they are effects, okay? It's not like, well, anyway, so, and the doctors know this, okay? For the most part, they know this, but yet they continue to support that type of system. They continue to support these drugs that they may alleviate some of the symptoms, but they don't cure anything. They don't fix the problem. They just put a Band-Aid on it so that, everything can get on with whatever, it's going to do. And meanwhile, that, since it doesn't get rid of the problem, it doesn't fix the problem, it doesn't remedy the problem, then they know that there's going to be, at some point in the future, still the same person's going to need another Band-Aid put on, so to speak, and so that's not good. I feel that the same thing applies with our monetary systems. Now, we got all this thing, first we had gold and silver, and then it got switched, to this fiat money system, about 100 years ago or whatever. And then it was gold, that was gold backed, and then it steadily and gradually the value of what its value in gold was reduced, and then all of a sudden, they just said, hey, well, we're not going to back it by gold, period. And then that turned into being backed by petroleum. Okay, well, the point I want to make with that is that, for one, it's a monetary system. And that is the core peeve that I have about all of this crap, is that prices over time, prices always increase, right? Nothing ever gets cheaper, really. If it does get cheaper, then your wages or what you're getting paid to do your whatever task is, for your job or whatever, then your wages go down. And, so it's still kind of, in relationship, it's still kind of the same. And everything, the cost of everything, these items, this food, whatever it might be, always increases, okay? And so you go back 100 years, well, you could get a loaf of bread for, I don't know, 5 cents or maybe even less. I don't know, maybe a few cents more, whatever. But say a loaf of bread, 5 cents, boom. Now you go to the store, what's a loaf of bread on the average cost? $2, $3, $4, you know, what have you. So my point being is that irregardless of money and people get an increase, you know, a raise, or a business makes more money and blah, 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 blah. Well, these as the prices increase, the complexity of an economic system, and this can be applied to most anything, medical, or I don't care, technology, everything. But as far as money is concerned, when, say, a loaf of bread, the price of it goes up from 5 cents to 10 cents, okay, well, that's generating an exchange of more money, let's say, just to keep it simple. And as that money is increased, well, whoever's working for whoever, well, their wages aren't moving up, they aren't increasing. So as it ends up, the company that's baking the bread, you know, making the loaves of bread and packaging it and distributing it and putting it on the shelf, they're making more money. You know, but generally, below or lower in the chain from that the manufacturer that's making the bread, back down to the worker that's working on the production line, that also that's going to buy a loaf of bread to feed their family, okay, they're not making any more money off of it, generally. I'm just saying. It just isn't a general example. So, but what it does do is it creates a more intricate system, because then that manufacturer of the bread can do more things, let's say, with the more money, the more profits that are being brought in, okay? And so that might require, whereas before the price of bread went from a nickel to a dime, you know, they didn't need, say, this particular accountant or whatever for their bookkeeping. But when it went up to 10 cents, well, then since they had more income coming in, and, you know, so say within the tax system or whatever, then that meant that they had to adjust how they filed and how they kept records on, you know, what they would have to pay taxes on. So then they had to hire maybe another accountant. So what I'm saying is, the more money that was generated and put in there, the less benefit it was to a lot of people, more benefit to other people, and it created for people that were on the opposite spectrum of, say, the factory floor worker to, say, an office worker, college educated or a higher educated, say, an accountant, and that would may lead into somebody within the legal profession, you know, because taxes, lawyers, you know, and stuff like that kind of go hand in hand. So it's not beneficial. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is that money is not required. We have enough technology now that's available or could be available to us that we wouldn't have to use money as an exchange. And when I say money, I'm talking paper dollars, metal coinage, digital digits on a computer, like cryptocurrencies, all of that stuff. over the past, for thousands of years, I would have thought that we would have been able to evolve beyond having to use this archaic system of exchange to ensure the sustainability and survivability of the human population. But like anything, just like on the internet, something or anywhere, anytime, anyhow, things can start out and there's good intention, but eventually, just like this Q stuff, hey, people, they pulled together, but now it's starting to break apart because, and it seems that it's partly ego-driven by some people. It's partly a lack of understanding by, some people. And bottom line, it seems to be that somebody wanting to do good, to be, and I don't like to use this word because there are a lot of people that use it, and they use it in the way that, an exact opposite way of what it is defined as, and that's a philanthropist, doing good for humanity, doing good for the community, for the planet, whatever. And there are a lot of people that use that as a cover, and they really, ultimately, they aren't doing good at all. In fact, they're doing the exact opposite. So anyway, I think that we have reached a point that we shouldn't have to depend on this type of exchange system that, for goods and services and what have you, that we currently use. And I honestly feel that one of the vital elements of that, to get to moving beyond that type of system or whatever, and call it evolution, is spirituality. And our kids are brought up, and more we're losing touch with, and I've said this in my other videos, we're losing touch with our humanity, with the value of what ourselves are. And we're concentrating more on what's outside of us rather than what's spiritually inside of us. Okay? And I'm not, people say, oh, there's no such thing, no such. Well, no, there's plenty of evidence out there, and you can prove this to yourself if you would do the research. And we're money, like dollars and whatever you want to call it, and I've said this before as well. The dollar bills, our currency, in God we trust. Well, what's happened is that we have come to believe, basically, maybe subconsciously, that those pieces of papers with numbers on them, the pieces of metal with, heads of famous people and numbers stamped on them or what have you, have become God, and people may not believe in God or whatever, but the point I'm trying to make is we've put more importance on crap like this, material things, rather than, our humanity, our spirituality. And I really honestly feel that until we address that, and I don't mean, have this strict inquisition kind of thing, or, if you don't believe this, if you don't believe that, then, we're going to shun you, for whatever. You don't believe like we believe, therefore you are toast, But really, if we all, if it was brought back into the mix, with some type of, or at least more focus on it than what there currently is, then gradually we would get back to a point where, yeah, okay, well, we understand that, okay, we're important. We have a lot of value. We are invaluable. You know, we cannot be replaced, whatever, however you want to say it. And we would get to a point where, okay, well, we could figure out some type of system that, and I said this before, we could uplift. We could help to uplift other people. Now, I realize there are people out there, they don't give a gnat's ass about anybody else but themselves. They don't care. You know, they don't care at all. And that's human nature. That's something that's going to have to be put up with or dealt with or whatever. But I tell you what, irregardless, until we face that issue that there is a lack of consideration given to the value, what the value of a human being is, no monetary system is going to get us to where we really want to go, or what I feel is where we need to go. There's going to be more and more and more and more numbers. The numbers are going to get larger, 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 larger. And as the numbers increase like that, larger, larger, and larger, the less value it's going to, the human being is going to be considered of less value, okay? Now you can say transhumanism or whatever. Well, it doesn't matter, because everything depends on a cooperation of some sort. Now, if you want to cooperate and create an environment that's beneficial or more beneficial to everybody, or are we going to cooperate with another type of group or mindset or whatever that are working towards a beneficial outcome only to a certain group, you know, that think a certain way, that believe in a certain way. So, yeah, I think that the monetary system, the exchange system for services and products rendered or what have you, there needs to be a total rethink on this. You know, our monetary system is a paradigm. And that paradigm, I feel, needs to be completely gotten rid of, and some other type of existence be created. And that will benefit everyone. But you have people that are so powerful and so influential at this point in time, and they don't want to lose their power, they don't want to lose their influence the way and the means that they have it right now. And generally that makes it worse for anybody that does not have as much power, has less power and less influence than those people do. And that is an imbalance. And whenever you have an imbalance, just like a car engine, a tire on the car, whatever, if it's out of balance, eventually, and it's not remedied, then there's going to be a catastrophic failure, okay? And that would eventually, you know, it's a chain reaction, boom, 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 boom. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to make it quick. Just wanted to basically go over that these divisions that we see happening and everything else. Meanwhile, yeah, there's a lot of focus being put on finding this information out, and we know this, we know that, and we find that out, and we do this, do that. All the while, we're not even, for the most part, thinking about what's inside of us. We're looking and concentrating and focusing on what's outside of us. And see, since we are co-creators of what we experience here in this 3D world or whatever, the longer we're going to remain in this this environment that's unsustainable. It's unsustainable. Yeah, you know, we get along for a little while, you know, and you know, we exist, but I want to thrive. I want us all to thrive. I don't just want to barely survive or barely exist. I want all of us to thrive, you know, with, you know, enjoyment, you know, with, yeah, there's always going to be struggles. There's always going to be challenges, and we should learn from those struggles and challenges. And as far as a monetary system and what have you, it's not sustainable. Even though it's gone on for all this time, but at this particular point of our existence, people are catching on that, hey, what good is it going to do if you keep raising enlarging these numbers, but the foundational ethics, whatever you want to call it, is still there. It hasn't been remedied. And so all these problems, we're just going to continue to repeat all of these tragedies, all of these struggles, all of these challenges, like we've never learned anything. And that's totally ridiculous to me. I mean, absolutely, it's totally ridiculous. So I just wanted to say that and continue from my last video where I left off with the Q information, and just excuse me, a general observation of what I see as far as the division within the group, whatever community that's following the Q information, whether or not somebody believes it or not, or what have you. But the same principles of the division and why the division happens can basically be applied to anything across our spectrum. So anyway, y'all have a great day, night, afternoon, morning, whatever. And remember what you have inside of you. Remember what other people have inside of them. And it's with that cooperation and that understanding, that hopefully when we recognize that, when we are mindful of it as we go through our days, our nights, whatever, that, there's a possibility of things becoming better, more enjoyable, healthier, happier, what have you. So anyway, y'all have a good one. Thank you.